We have a limited amount of time on this planet. So, you know, wasting time is something that can be quite lethal to do um, on a regular basis. But I've never really seen a series that is better at wasting people's time on this planet than Adventure Time. Fiona and Cake Season 2 has been complete and utter garbage from top to bottom. I'm going to break down the last episode from Season 10. So, after wasting our time for most of this season, they decided to wrap it up in episode 10. So it starts out with a alternate version of Finn in a different universe talking to his mom. And then we go through the trash opening and we get to the plot with Finn being on his deathbed, the real Finn, and he's about to die. The Huntress Wizard comes in at the nick of time and manages to stop them from turning Finn into a robot, basically, and crushing his body. And pretty much, Huntress Wizard has to Huntress Wizard has to use her powers to basically create an avatar body for her to move around in different dimensions. So she makes an avatar body for herself in the regular dimension, and that's how she gets back to Ooh. And pretty much she uses the powers of all. She just takes energy from all her avatar bodies across the other universes she was in, and takes some energy from there to heal Finn. But Finn, he gets his body gets healed, but he's still not, he's still dead because his soul isn't there yet. So then they need Fiona to get into Finn's mind and talk him back into his will to live and shit. And and I know I'm just kind of summarizing the episode, but I gotta comment on this. This moment makes it pretty clear that the writers decided to kill Jake off screen, because it's pretty obvious from the last episode, couple episodes before this, Finn looking, in a flashback, screaming Jake, because something bad happened to him. And then he's over there when he's Fiona's trying to talk to him. He's all nobody loved me like Jake loved me. So it's pretty obvious that what they're strongly trying to imply is that Jake is dead. That pissed me off, because that's just another dumb thing that Adventure Time does a lot, which is killing off important characters off screen. They did that with Billy, I didn't like it when they did that with Billy way back then, because if you have an important character, right, and you have them die, you got to have that shit be on screen so you can get the maximum drama out of that. but you kill them off screen and they're an important character. At that point, why not just have Finn die off screen? Why not just have Fiona and Cake just die off screen and just end the show? That would actually be better, actually, if they just did that. Because Fiona and Cake season 2 is trash. Anyway, so back onto the recap. So, Fiona talks some sense into Finn, and he gets his will to live. He finally gets resurrected, and yeah. And what proceeds after that is everybody celebrates. Yeah, and they go back to Fiona's world of her doing mundane shit with her boring friends that no one cares about. I legit, right? I've watched this whole season. I give so little of a shit about anything Fiona did in her world throughout this season. Even though I just watched the episode, I could not tell you a thing she did unless it had to do with the A plot. Because, again, this shit was so boring. It just did. It could not capture my attention at all. Anywho, so, but there is one thing, that happened, right? So, Fiona, she makes peace with her lame friends. Nobody cares about that. And, um, the episode ends, and there's, sorry, I just saw a cat. Probably don't need to put that in the video. Anyway, there's a cliffhanger with Marshall Lee meeting Hudson Abadir, right? And I was just like, when I saw this, I was just so freaking done. So you're telling me, right? They had a whole season, 10 episodes, to actually give you an entertaining story. And for most of that time, they wasted your time on meaningless shit. And then at the end of the season, you want to tease something cool happening with Hudson Abadir. Let me tell you what's going to happen if there's ever a season 3 of Fiona and Cake. Which I hope there isn't, because Adventure Time needs to end. Unless I take over the show, this shit needs to end. What will happen is, they'll have Hudson Abadir and Marshall Lee, and then it's going to flip to something completely unrelated to that, and they'll just waste your time with that for the entire season while nothing progresses, and then make another stupid teaser to hook you in on season 4. So that's pretty much it, as you can clearly tell. Didn't really enjoy this season at all. And yeah, I pretty much predicted this in my first Fiona and Cake review that I was interested in the Huntress Wizard and the Finn plot at first, but then, as the episode started to progress, I realized, this plot with Finn and Huntress Wizard, with Huntress Wizard trying to save Finn, this story is not going to go anywhere. This isn't going to lead to anything that means anything. All that was going to happen was freaking Huntress Wizard is going to heal Finn. And that's it. Nothing's really going to change about Finn. Nothing's going to change about, anybody else. And they're all just going to move on with their lives like nothing happened. This season, this whole season 2 of Fiona and Cake was just a waste of time. Just, filler content. And, that's what really kind of baffles me about Adventure Time in general. There are people, right, that will say that freaking Adventure Time is the best cartoon ever created, or the best cartoon to ever come out from Cartoon Network. You'll get freaking Watch Mojo glazing this series. You'll get other marks glazing the series. And the thing is that, like, these people are either like paid actors or sheep, because, nobody watched season 2 of Fiona and Cake and got anything out of that. Nobody did. You are either paid to say good things about it, or, you're a sheep and you're just saying good things about it because everybody else is. But, that's just, it always kind of baffled me, because even when Adventure Time was like good, even when it was a good show, it still wasn't like a show that I would say, oh, this is like the best show I ever seen. No. No, I would still like put, like, I don't know, regular show, or, Ed, Ed and Eddie. I would still put shows like those over Adventure Time, even when Adventure Time was like good, but like not by a lot. I guess like Adventure Time could somewhat hang when it was good, like in the early seasons. But when it became trash, and, just like became like how it is now, it's like, yeah, it's just like, I would give it like, I wouldn't say it's hanging with like much of anything, you know, pretty much. Adventure Time, it's a show that's just like, it's there to just waste your time. Everybody that was involved with Fiona and Cake season 2 wasted their time. The animators, they wasted their time. The writers, okay, the writers didn't waste their time. They got paid, but they didn't do shit. The audience wasted their time. Nobody got anything out of this. So, but despite the fact, how obvious, garbage that Adventure Time has been for such a long time, you'll get some people that'll just like glaze this show. And here's the thing, right? The reason why like some Adventure Time fans, glazing the show and stuff, it's like, it's one thing to have your opinion, but it's another thing if you take it to the point of like where you're just lying. There's a difference between an opinion and a lie. Okay. An opinion is like, okay, a lot of other people don't like this show, but, I personally enjoy it, right? And the lie is like, okay, we all saw that was some bullshit, but let me tell you that this bullshit was ice cream. And just pretend like it was like, and really try to drive home that this was ice cream, and, just convince everybody. That's basically what, the marks for Adventure Time do. You'll just have this horrible finale, and it has one good song, but the story is garbage, and we'll just convince everybody that this trash is ice cream. You know, can't even get like the episode count right on the official website and shit. So, um, so a proper continuation of Fiona and Cake would have been doing something along the lines of, okay, last time we showed Ice King, uh, make peace with Betty, right? Most of the last season was focused on the Ice King and, his side of the story, making peace, right? And so, because Fiona and Cake is a sequel to Adventure Time, a proper way to continue it would be to, tie up the loose ends, the unanswered questions from, the last series. Or better yet, just continue with the Ice King plot, even. Because in the last season, right, we saw, Ice King hang out with his girlfriend Betty, and, we got to see a little bit of their relationship, and I liked that. We got a little bit of closure from that, but not enough. They should have continued with that into this season and, just fleshed that story out a little bit more. Again, they could have, they could have, did a little bit more with Marceline and Princess Bubblegum and, their relationship, maybe since Adventure Time is, you know, TV 14 or whatever. I mean, yeah, it gives them less restrictions, so they could have, done a little bit more with that storyline. Um, they could have used, Fiona and Cake season 2 to continue a storyline like that. Um, Let me think. What other? They could have, used a storyline like this to, I don't know, um, make some kind of story having to do with the Third Great Gumball War and the extinction of mankind. A story like that would be really powerful. These are all things that got set up in the original Adventure Time that I didn't, that you were just kind of curious about and you kind of wanted to see like what's the deal with that, but they never really like explained or fleshed out any of these things. And season 2 of Fiona and Cake was their chance to do that, and they didn't. So yeah, I'm not sure if I got anything else to say. This is gonna be my last Adventure Time rant because this show is a lost cause. It's just, yeah, this is, yeah, this series is just a lost cause at this point, and I just don't like if I see freaking motherfuckers just like glazing this bullshit on my freaking YouTube's timeline. I'm just freaking blocking that shit. It's just cause, yeah, yeah. So I don't really got anything else to say with this. Adventure Time sucks. Fiona and Cake season 2 is trash. Yeah, just end the show. It's about time.